Take one.
You're watching the QUESTionaire podcast.
What can they say?
You are checking out the QUESTionaire.
What's your name again?
The QUESTionaire.
Would you like to have questions?
I don't got it. I'm not that guy.
Submit yourself.
Super fun and entertaining.
This is the QUESTionaire.
Man, part of me just wants to be like, hey, we've already started the show. I was going to read this, but Mike's the reason I had it. Larry had to edit some things because we were both kind of swearing, and I might have to like clip that down and be like, hey, Larry, started here, and then just edit us out and be like, that was the intro to the show. I don't care because it's Mike Rooth in the house, and sometimes it's uncouth when you got Mike Rooth, and we've been talking all kinds of things. I literally don't know when I started the show, Mike. I've done this with you specifically before. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it's just like, whatever. The banter's great. We're just going to start, right?
All right.
Because, yeah, man, it's strange. And, what was it? Kelly Thompson, when we were speaking to her. Lovely. And my boy is loving the Jeff the Shark run. Right, I love it. It's crazy. I'm sitting here like, I had her on the show. That's dope. And my boy is loving her work, you know. But one of the points I made to her as far as the comic book market, because we were talking numbers and everything, and like you said, 150,000 to be a successful book of Marvel in the '90s. Which, yeah, saying those numbers today is crazy. I wish I had Ross Ritchie co-hosting this right now, because then he'd spit out 10,000 other more numbers, and I'd be like, Ross, my head hurts. I love you, man. Oh my God. But yeah,
Granted, the books back then were $1 on the shelf, right?
I mean,
$1 to $2 on the shelf. So money has changed for sure. I don't know the mathematical scale on that, but you know, it's easier to sell 70,000 things if they're $1 each instead of $6 each.
Well, I wonder. This is supposed to be about Brantford Comic Con, Mike. I'm gonna start it out kind of edgy right off the start. Because if you think about it, has milk gone up the same percentage as comic books, or do you think comics has went up more?
I think comics have gone up more.
Okay, and I think that's probably technically across all entertainment. I don't know if someone out there wants to do the math on this. I don't know, but you know what? Nothing has went up. The thing that's went up the lowest percentage since the '90s is like minimum wage. You know what I mean? And if you kept that up current, you would sell more comics, and that's how you sell more comics, man. You make it to where like the deck isn't stacked the way that it is, but then you have to do something about those stacking the deck, and that's different. Y'all are stacking the deck a hell of a one over there with Brantford Comic Con. We're going to switch this whole conversation before I get too deep, because it's a problem. I do it sometimes. If y'all check all the quests, like, I just want to say the past 2 quests have been absolutely phenomenal, right? Firstly, Olivia Briggs coming back, and we just got in deep on some personal things with stories and like how you can be laden into a story. And then before that, it was Jack Billow and talking to you about Thunderboom and the very personal story that was his as far as his kid being nonverbal, which was also another very, very personal story. So let's get very personal. Yeah, what's your personal Brantford Comic Con story from last? Oh wait, were you there last year? You weren't there.
No, it was my first time, man.
So this is your first year. This is your first year. Okay. So what have you heard? What are you expecting? You got any expectations for it, Mike? Huh? Are you expecting a guy in a Hawaiian shirt?
I've heard very good things. The people I've been dealing with, the fellow in particular I've been dealing with, has been great. He's been really easy to talk to and real, like they haven't asked for much. They haven't made too many demands of me in the promo. But I will say they're super on point with hooking this all up early, like almost like literally a full year in advance of the show, so that all the little bugs can be worked out and all the most effective kind of messaging can get out there. And they do a good job on the ads. I'm very impressed so far. I'm very impressed. I'm very curious about the show. I also like that it's only about an hour's drive, hour and a half's drive, so that it's a one-day show. So I kind of like the thunder a one-day show can bring, like that. And but they also have events the night before. I know they got some wrestling stuff going on, and it seems like they're really engaged with the community. And like, I don't know the first thing about Brantford except from friends of mine who are from there, who live there. But yeah, man, I'm stoked about it. It's going to be a busy May for me, and that's going to be right after a show I do, I believe, in Saskatoon, and then I'm going to be in Brantford, and then yeah, it's going to be good. I'm stoked.
And then he'll be 20 other places because that's what Mike does.
Yeah, then I'm taking a week off, and then there's something after that. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I got no doubt in my mind, Mike. But you know what I think is funny, right? For the wrestling, I'm just gonna let you know. You know when you graduate wrestling school, you know what they did, right? You had to take the chop line.
Yeah.
Right? All right. Steve McGinnis agreed to take the chop line on the show at Brantford Comic Con, right?
Nice.
He agreed to it, Mike. I swear.
He's a man that loves horror films and horror artwork. I'm not surprised.
And apparently not Dean Ambrose very much, if memory serves proper, but that's neither here nor there. I don't like. I never had somebody slam a wrestler so hard in my life on the show, Mike. I was just like,
yeah. Oh yeah. There's definitely wrestlers out there deserving some ire for sure.
But wait, do you not like Dean Ambrose either?
Oh, I've never been a fan. No, never been a fan really. Never got the whole Shield thing too much, man. But I'm kind of old school, right? By the time the Shield came around and all that stuff was getting hot and heavy, I pretty much boycotted WWE for being a filthy, disgusting company. So I would pick it up here and there now and then. I follow the stories of the wrestlers that I like, the ones that I've been following for a long time. But most of my heroes are dead, or retired, or just no longer, not treated with respect or just not relevant to the sport anymore. And it's a shame. But I spend a lot of time in my head in the 80s and the 90s anyway, reliving great wrestling moments, and I can watch any of that stuff from the 90s, anytime, like it's brand new. I just love it, man.
And we're gonna get right back into a deep wrestling cut here in a moment. But check out this ad from Studio Comics real quick.
To restart this whole commercial because people could probably hear Pokemon in the background.
Please check out this amazing promotion that we have prepared with the questionnaire.
I'm the unknown factor. This right here is the obscure fragment.
Are watching this show?
Yeah, I'll do editing
with the questionnaire.
So we've edited this awesome commercial together, y'all.
90% off.
We are not giving 90% off.
No, I mean 9.
How about 20?
The only thing that you have to do is enter that code that you have right there.
9.
No, 20.
10.
How about 20?
I'm printing your comics today with Studio Comics Press.
Just use this code right here. Right here. Look, I put it somewhere. All right, it's probably actually right here. Right, it's right under your chin. It says Quest 24.
That code you gotta enter in our website, and then you will get a whipping discount of 20% in any of the items or products that we have on the website.
9.
20.
9.
20%.
9.
All right.
9.
He wants to give you 9% off. I, as well as Alfonso over there on Studio Comics, want to give you 20% off.
You can get it right there with this amazing code. Just enter it right here. Yeah, just right there. There.
Use that code over at Studio Comics to get 20% off.
Thank you very much. This is a special one for all our friends of the questionnaire.
Type in Quest 24 when you check out, man. You can figure out the percentage you'll get right then because it'll show in your order.
Yeah,
right?
9% off.
It's 20%.
The Questionnaire, the best current comic book podcast existing around.
So happy to have Studio Comics as our very, very first sponsor. Say Studio Comics!
Studio Comics!
Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and do all the stuff that you have to do.
I'm the Unknown Factor with the Questionnaire. Make sure you check it out.
Now, like I was saying, back to the show, right? We're going to get into some things. We was talking some really, really deep wrestling, Mike, right? And like I said, I think I've said this to you before, man, because you were saying, most of the guys you dealt with, and you prefer to watch the stuff from the 80s and 90s. And I remember, I think it was in the 2000s when this happened, when Vince fake blew his head up, or blew himself up in the limo, right?
Yeah.
Right? Real quick. Hey, Mike, can you shift your camera? You're way, oh my God, yeah. I don't know why I didn't have you do that beforehand, right?
No, that's cool.
Right? Larry,
I've got like this weird wall of comic boxes right here off camera, so
It's if I turn a bit more, you'll be able to see the edge of them.
I got some comic boxes right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone should have comic boxes, Mike.
I
Right?
agree.
That's what we're talking about. I remember when he did that. I see. You remember when he did that?
Sort of, yeah.
Were you like out by then, or were you still in it?
I mean, I was sort of. I would check in now and then. I haven't had cable TV for like 20 years, so I was only able to watch wrestling if I was at a friend's house, and I mostly just kind of catch up on the dirt sheets and you know, the whatever clips online. I used to watch WrestleMania and the Rumble every year with my parents. I go home and visit and watch at least watch WrestleMania, but we haven't done that since COVID, actually, since around the time COVID started. And now that WWE is on Netflix, it's actually kind of a bummer because my folks were getting super into wrestling. I think they really got into it over COVID, and they were really like into it. And then when they did that switch over in January 2025 or whatever it was, where they just started it out, you know, on Netflix, they canceled the other availability up here in Canada on other channels. So suddenly my parents didn't have wrestling anymore. The only wrestling they can watch now is TNA. And they're not really huge fans, but you know, they like some of the wrestlers on TNA, but they're just kind of like, yeah, they're bummed out about it because they don't have Netflix. So.
Okay, so just get Netflix. That's like, but I get that too. As far as like, as there's too many, it becomes too. There's so many different.
Too much. Yeah, it's
yeah.
Too
There's
much, you know.
so many reasons for that, and for real, it's just too much. But yeah, I did think it was fun. I didn't realize. Did they do that across all platforms? Like Raw is just pulled from everything, and now it's only on Netflix.
Yeah, I think it's on Netflix, and I think some of the WWE program is on Peacock, but we don't get Peacock up here.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's the difference. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of a bummer. I mean, I can watch it now. Now that I'm not into it, now I can watch it anytime I want, which is just weird. But I did watch something really cool last night. I watched I think it was called the Continental Classic or something like that. But it was a 16-man tournament from like the early days. Like Hogan was a new champ, Piper was the bad guy, Randy Savage was the new guy on the scene in WWF. British Bulldogs were jacked. You know, it was a whole different thing back then. And the tournament's amazing. The tournament ends with 16 men. It comes down to JYD versus Macho Man, and JYD wins by countout. It's the weirdest, most unsatisfying tournament ending I've ever seen. But there were some excellent matches on that, though. And there were a couple of babyface versus babyface matches, which was a very rare thing in those days.
Yeah.
So you got Ricky Steamboat versus Davey Boy Smith when they were both baby faces, which was really an interesting match. And then I believe it was Don Morocco and Bob Orton when they were both villains, kind of facing off each other. That's pretty cool too. So that was good shit.
Yeah, I love those matches back in the day because I think they were played differently. I mean, I guess they're sort of played the same way now, and you see it way, way more often. But just the whole like, what hero is going to be like? Look, I'm crossing the line a little first. I want to win, you know. And what bad guy, like what heel is just going to be like? I have no line. Let's see how far you'll go. Like I
always
love that.
found I always found the heel versus heel matches, especially in WCW in the late 80s, early 90s. They were incredible because, you know, they were just doing what they did. They would go out there, and it wasn't like suddenly one guy was a face and wrestling as a face or one guy was a heel. It was just two heels fighting each other. And it was dirty and it was good. And it was really good. And the babyface versus babyface match is always good too. But, you know, it's almost like when Superman fights Spider-Man, you know, you don't really want to have a clear winner because it could affect sales. So you have them fight, but then you have another villain show up to kind of create a, you know, they have to join forces and fight the common evil, right? That happens in wrestling a little bit too. But like last night, I'm watching that tournament, and it's Ricky Steamboat, peak babyface Ricky Steamboat, and British Bulldogs, and like Davey Boy Smith. And the match, I'm like, who's gonna win this? That's crazy. And the end of the match, Davey Boy's hitting Steamboat with a series of drop kicks, and he comes for one more, and Steamboat rolls out of the way, and Davey Boy impales his nuts on the ropes, and he's hanging on the ropes like he's just been, you know, he's been sacked. So he hits the ground, and the referee comes over, and the referee just calls off the match. And so they award the victory to Steamboat because, you know, Davey Boy couldn't continue because he had his testicles smashed on the rope. So, you know, good old storytelling, you know. It didn't hurt either wrestler. Both of them still remain, you know, kind of mid to top babyface wrestlers. And, yeah, it was good shit.
I think that's the other thing that's wild about wrestling. And watch, I'm going to flip this back to comics real hard in a minute. Right, I am. Is the fact that it turned into, like, back in the day, those days, look, if you got a finisher and you kicked out, it was WrestleMania.
Oh,
You know,
yeah. It was
you know what I mean?
mayhem if that happened.
Yeah, like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I mean, you see, and I think, I love AEW, but there are times where I'm like, I just seen 6 finishers in a row.
Oh,
In
I
a,
can't watch that because of that.
in a 2-person match, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Some of their finishes are really good too. So it's a shame when your guy has to execute it 17 times to win the match. Like, you know, it's like when Cody Rhodes, you know, when he was on his big title run last couple years, and all of a sudden he had to start giving everyone the crossroads 3 times. And I was like, that is a tight move on its own. Properly applied, well timed. 3 times to beat Lesnar, 3 times to beat Roman Reigns. At that point, I'm so tired. That move has a setup. It's like the pedigree. I find the pedigree to be the most boring fucking move in wrestling because it is such a long, slow setup, especially when you got a douchebag like Triple H setting it up. You know what I mean? Like, just slow. Yeah, I'm not a big Triple H guy.
So wait,
But
so we're gonna have McGinnis on Dean Ambrose, and I got you being like, I did Triple H is a douchebag. Like, she's a P.
Yeah, I don't know. I never been a fan. Never been a fan. I did like his music before the DX days, though. He had that weird music for a while, but that was about it. I do. I think the greatest for me, the greatest gift that Triple H gave to the sport of wrestling was he brought a lot of young new listeners to Motorhead by having Motorhead play him down at WrestleMania 17, and then having him play him down again a couple years later. And like Lemmy used to laugh and be like, every time we play you down to the ring, you lose. You know what I mean? But that's just so fits the character of Motorhead so well. And so to me, like they made Motorhead a ton of money with those songs that Motorhead wrote for WWE. So I figured that's probably the best thing he's done, to my mind, in wrestling. Yeah.
You don't think he's running the company well now? Then I guess fair enough.
I don't like the company. I can't consume its content anymore. I reached a point where I found the cover up and the evil and the corruption and the bullshit that I was attached to the legacy of McMahon was just too much. And the kind of debauched things that we're seeing happening in the administration right now, to me, is very much on par with the villainous kind of shit that happens in that fucking 3-ring circus that was WWE.
You know what's really screwy is it just like think about what you just said and the fact that there was a point in the WWE, I believe it was I think it was E at the time, where Trump and Vince McMahon had a whole back and forth.
Oh yeah, that was like 2003, something like that.
That
yeah,
seems about right. Yeah,
Bobby Lashley was brought in and everything, and hair versus hair match at WrestleMania and all that shit.
That should not be comparable. That's as.
I mean, to my mind, that's as far as that particular character should have ever reached. I mean, I only ever wanted to see him as a character on a TV show. I never wanted to see him have any more authority beyond that.
Okay. Man, we went political enough. Back to what I was trying to do with the point that I made about the finishers, right? And the fact that they are, like I said, they're applied a huge amount now with Cody. And this is across the board, whether you're watching AEW, TNA, WWE, an independent organization, Ring of Honor, whatever. Ring of Honor is the thing that continued my love for wrestling. I gotta let you know, Mike. When Vince fake blew himself up, I found the first DVD of that, and they did an inverted Hurricane Rana, and I'm like, he's not dead. That wasn't his finisher. All right. But on the note of finishers being used a lot, I'm curious, do you think that how wrestling has done that, do you think that's kind of happened in comics in the fact that people will get to the bang quicker and harder, especially thinking about the fact that Nothing runs for 280 issues anymore. There's no series. Sure, legacy numbers, whatever, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
like a new series starting out and getting to that. Like I mean, there are rare exceptions. Savage Dragon, Spawn. There's a couple out there, but that's not the expectation anymore. The expectation anymore is more. Can you get to 6? Can you get a graphic novel? Can you that's the goal. It's not a goal of just making something that this will go on and go on and go on and be monthly. Which do you think that's made it to where the bang has to come quicker? Like you
I
got to
mean, I
put
don't
that
know. I
finish.
think people,
Yeah, you got to put that finisher in 6 times now. You know what I mean?
yeah, I sort of feel like, yeah, you know, you reach a point where you're pushing a thing as far as it'll go, and then, you know, you need to either refresh or reboot or start over or something. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think wrestling definitely pulls some storytelling, you know, cues from wrestling a lot of the time, or vice versa. Um, yeah, I used to like just I don't know. I think when it comes to wrestling, or when it comes to comics, like I remember the days when, you know, there wasn't really story arcs. There were stories for sure, and there was ongoing things that overlapped and happened from issue to issue. But you know, you could pick up a comic at any issue number and know where, and within very short order, know where you are in that person's story, where in that character's story. Nowadays, it's a little bit more, you know, package driven, like a 5 or 6 issue run kind of thing. And I get that. I understand that, because the real money comes when they sell the trade paperbacks. You know, I totally get that. But it definitely is a different thing. And I think it's harder to keep people's attention span. I think that's the other thing. So wrestling also has to push things a little bit. Like, I'm amazed at how long some feuds go. And then I'm always amazed at how short some feuds are too. Like how they just touch on a thing and then they go, nope, that's too much fire. We got to step back and maybe approach this a little while later. Or they just have a thing that goes on and on forever. And if it's good, it can go on and on for as long as it wants. But if it's if it just becomes like, all right, we got to amp up the gimmick in this match to continue the storyline for the sake of what, you know? Yeah. So I don't know.
But I can't like you don't seem like the kind of person that would appreciate it. Like, are you a fan of Cage of Death?
Age of Death.
You've never seen a Cage of Death, Mike.
Like, are you talking? Is it a new thing? Cage of
No,
Death?
it's CZW, Cage of Death.
Oh, CZW. Yeah, is that where that that Gage guy wrestled at Hard? Nick Gage.
Yeah, Nick Gage wrestled there.
Yeah.
New Jack had some matches. He was in a Cage of Death.
Necro Butcher, all those guys.
Necro came from there. Like, there's a lot. Yeah. The guys that are like, the old school Cactus Jack in Japan level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I loved all that stuff in those days. Yeah, I mean, the God, like the King of the Death matches with Terry Funk. Like, I'm a crazy Terry Funk fan, so I'll watch anything with Terry Funk. But that's I mean, and I love, man, Cactus Jack. Like, I mean, I remember when he was just getting started as Cactus Jack as a jobber in, you know, WCW. I remember watching the show on Saturday weekly that we get up here. It always had like 3:05 in the morning. Like, it was a super weird time that we get it up here. I would watch it just to watch Cactus Jack lose, because I knew he was going to do something crazy and he was going to get killed by, you know, Scott Steiner or Van Hammer or someone like that. He's going to get murdered by somebody, but he would make it so good. And then that one day he had that tag match that he was in where his tag team partner got pinned. I can't remember if they were fighting the Steiners or who they were fighting. But like, weeks after week after week of watching Cactus Jack just do these insane bumps and pull these incredible things and never getting the win, because you know he's never going to win. But then, you know, there's this tag match and his partner's the guy that takes the fall. And after the match, we see the real Cactus Jack emerge when he turns on his partner and slams him on the concrete floor and does that cactus elbow from the apron. And everyone went, what the fuck? You know, that was like, what the fuck? And then after that, it was just, to me, it was the Cactus Jack show after that, man.
I'm hoping my memory serves me properly, but he wrestled for the first time, and it was when Terry Funk seen him, and he did that elbow, and Terry Funk was like, boy, ain't you got no sense? And his response was, no, sir, I ain't got no dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
I was
good.
like, all right. But you've never seen a Cage of Death then?
I mean, not recently. I've seen clips of his matches, Nick Gage with the pizza cutter and all that bullshit. I don't really go for that kind of extremity.
I man, like go find Cage of Death like 5 or 6. I don't know what they're at now, but like, it's the incident with New Jack where he like was trying to kill a guy. Let's be real honest, because he threw him off the scaffolding, and he admitted, I was aiming for the floor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so and may he rest in peace as far as New Jack. He's dead, so and he said it himself. But the Cage of Deaths, they have a lot of setups like that where it's a good, story fall, maybe 2, and they fall through a lot of things. And I recommend them, but they're madness. Like I'm saying, I appreciate that kind of match. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes I like it, man. Depends on who's going. Like it depends on who's at it, right? Yeah.
Very, very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that can be the same in the artist. So, do you think, what would you compare in comics if you looked at the different styles of wrestling, right? Like, what's lucha? What's just catch a sketch can? What's deathmatch? What's like, are there companies that you would label more particular styles than anything of wrestling? Yeah.
I think before we had like ECW on TV in the late '90s, and I think before we had, the veil lifted from our eyes, like when McMahon became a character on his own show, and the Montreal Screwjob and all the things that happened there. Like I think before that level of reality TV hit wrestling, I think at the time it would have been easy to say, okay, well, Marvel is WWF. Because they've got the bigger budgets, they've got the more colorful characters, they've got the more classic villains, they've got the more, whatever. And then DC would have been WCW because WCW was an older company. I mean, NWA was. And, the history is longer. The history is longer than WWF, even though WWF had all the TV time. Certainly, the lion's share of it. World Championship Wrestling and the National Wrestling Alliance, like to me that was DC Comics because they had older wrestlers, they had older storylines, they had an older legacy. They had you'd be watching guys in the 90s talking about when Dory Funk was champ, or talking about when Harley Race was champ, or the Race versus Dusty Rhodes years, and the rise of Ric Flair. And to me that's how I as a kid looked at those things. But they're pretty much the only things I had access to. And then I was made aware of the Japanese wrestling via WCW through the Great Muta and the big international tournaments that they would host, where they would have these massive tag team tournaments where tag teams from all over the world would get together. And that's where I was exposed to some of the amazing talent in the 90s of, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Kensuke Sasaki and oh man, just like obviously the Great Muta and Masahiro Chono and Ricky Choshu and all these incredible athletes, and then the Americans who had gone there. Vader.
Wait, real quick.
Yeah.
Based on that, I have to ask you a question because it annoyed me. I could not actually on Steve McGinnis's quest, funnily enough, catch both him and Mike at Brantford Comic Con, but on Steve McGinnis's quest. Did you see where Ric Flair got chopped, or where Chris Jericho got chopped so much his chest bled in AEW recently?
In AEW, I didn't see that, but I have seen that happen before. I have seen that.
Did you see Chris Jericho?
It wasn't Jericho, no.
I'd never seen somebody get chopped so much in the chest. Their chest started bleeding just from chops. You've seen that before? I've seen that, and I was like, what is? No. He didn't cut. Why?
Yeah, I've seen. I mean, I toured around a little bit with the indie wrestling stuff here in Ontario when I was younger, and I'd see a lot of guys who were just starting to come up, and wanting to get into the business. Some of them made it. Some of them made it, pretty far. Some of them didn't. Some of them got to a point where they got hurt before they got old, and and that was it. But like Eric Young, Eric Young on TNA, he's been through a few different iterations. He's like in his early 50s now, fit as a fiddle, strong as a horse, looks amazing, looks better than he's ever looked in his career. But when I saw him like in 1999, 2001, wrestling in some small arena here in Ontario, as Showtime Eric Young with his green and black neon trunks on and his blonde Sting haircut, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was awesome to watch because he was still the only guy that looked like a wrestler in those leagues. And then here he is now. He's this this really well developed veteran wrestler who I'd say probably has the best pile driver in wrestling. Rest in peace, Paul Orndorff. But I think the guy is just great. So I don't really watch wrestling anymore, but I follow up with some of those guys that I've been aware of and have known for a long time and that kind of thing. So. But yeah, I saw some brutal chop lineups and stuff in my day for sure.
That's funny. That's funny because like when I got into Ring of Honor, I started going to some of the Ring of Honor shows. And I would hang around after the shows, and the guys were cool. You know what I'm saying? Like from Necro.
Oh yeah.
And it's weird because like I follow a couple of those guys too, and it's like Kevin Steen.
Yeah.
I mean Owens is the WWE champion. Yo, that's awesome. When they just let him give anyone a package pile driver. Like a proper.
He's so good, man. He's so good.
I just don't get why they won't let him do that move. Right?
I know.
Like, he can do it safely, obviously. He only did it for like over a decade or more to guys bigger than him. And as far as I know, he never hurt anyone with that maneuver. Right?
No, a lot of guys do get hurt with a pile driver, and some of them are career changing. Like, everyone, it's funny. Everyone always talks about Stone Cold Steve Austin getting that reverse sit down tombstone from Owen Hart. And, it's very easy to find on Google or find on YouTube. Look up Steve Austin versus Masahiro Chono. And in the match, Steve Austin gives Chono the exact same move that Owen would later give him that broke his neck. And Steve Austin broke Masahiro Chono's neck with the same fucking move, probably 5 years before Owen broke his neck. And what's crazy about that is everyone always says, Owen never went to go see Stone Cold in the hospital. Owen never sent an apology. Owen changed a man's career. I don't think Stone Cold went to Masahiro Chono's house and checked out him. All I know was when Masa returned to wrestling, he had completely changed his style because he couldn't do the shit he used to do because he had his neck broke by a Steve Austin pile driver. That's a little known fact that a lot of people don't probably want to do the research on.
Did Owen Hart know him?
Know who? Masahiro Chono?
Yeah.
Oh, they might have known each other. They probably wrestled in the same company, in Japan here and there. But no, I think that move that Owen did, Owen used to do that move quite a bit. It was just an unfortunately bad landing, or Austin was a bit too low. Everyone wants to talk about how Owen Hart wasn't a safe wrestler, and that is the most insulting thing I've ever heard in my life.
I would fully agree with that. But I think it's because everyone focuses and has seen that one particular clip so much. And dude, Austin's head is like this far below his, and like that.
It's brutal.
Like, I've seen things in wrestling. Every once in a while, you see that maneuver, and like Brock when he screwed up the shooting star. Like, there are those moments where I'm like, they're not dead. That's impressive.
And that's the crazy thing about Brock Lesnar screwing up the shooting star, because that was the only time he ever screwed it up. Because, it's the first time anyone in WWE saw him do it. But prior to that, in OVW, that was his finisher.
Yeah, and he did some move.
Yeah. Smooth every time.
Yeah, like ridiculous. So I think that's a valid point, man. That's weird. People call, like, that's like saying, oh, man, this one page sucks. You're a terrible artist. And then you've got like legit. I feel like saying that about Owen Hart with the career he had. It's like Mark Bagley drawing you a crappy drawing, and you'd be like looking at it and being like, you're a terrible artist. When he has all the rest of his drawings behind him, and you should be like, It was one moment, and ain't nobody perfect
Yeah.
in everyone.
And you have to realize too how Owen humbled himself in that match after it happened, because he had to keep the story going. And in that situation, he was supposed to lose. So he's just killed a guy with a pile driver. The guy can't move. And now he's got to figure out how he's going to lose that match. So he's pacing around the ring going, yeah, I'm the best. I'm Owen Hart. You know, he's doing the Owen Hart thing. Slammy Award, you know. Like, the guy was beautiful. But there he is. He gets near enough to Austin that Austin's able to kind of limp arm, reach up and grab the trunks and roll him up for a small like a schoolboy roll up. And Owen just lays there. Oh no, I'm being pinned. 1, 2, 3, and it was hard to watch on a live telecast. Like, it was difficult. But I watched it and I was like, damn, that pile driver was bad.
Yeah,
something's gone wrong. Something has definitely turned in this match here. You know.
So I just gotta ask, Mike. So you got the Stone Cold moment. You got the moment with Brock. Can you think of anything in comics where something happened to like a creator that was that devastating to their career?
Oh, I mean, yeah, people have gotten sick. People have had strokes. People have had their health drastically changed for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of tragic stories about that for sure, man.
Well,
People whose lives are touched.
God, y'all went to strokes. Never mind, Jesus, Mike.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure how you make that comparison though. For sure, it's
I can
there's been
make
some
one.
real botched comics. Like there's been some botched opportunities if you want to make that comparison.
Yeah.
When they did the amalgam story with Marvel versus DC. You know, everyone wanted to see Lobo versus Wolverine, and they did it, but they did it in like a bar fight, and they both tumble over the edge of the bar, and then it's just like, it's just like the Tasmanian devil cloud of sound effects, and then at the end, Wolverine's standing there with a cigarette. And I remembered like wanting to rip that comic book in half, because not only were the fans robbed of an amazing, what could have been a whole story, but instead they handed it to Logan, and Lobo really can't be defeated. So it was kind of a weird thing, I remember just feeling so ripped off by that whole series. I mean, that series had a few standout moments, like Submariner versus Aquaman was brilliant. That was beautiful. But
see, that's one I haven't read in so long, and it's on my list to get. Like, I might be. I'm acquiring certain omnibuses, like, of things where I'm like, I need to reread this, and that's on my list to get, because it's been a very, very long time since I've read that, and I'm getting Ultimate Spider-Man for my boy, like the original.
Nice.
Yeah, the original one. But he's getting into Dogman right now. But he's 6. Whatever. He's reading. I'm down with it. I lost my point amongst my ramble and then bringing up my boy.
It's all good.
I can't bring it back, Mike. That's bloody annoying. I don't know, man.
The rambles take us too far away from the point. That happens all the time.
When you got 16 trains running, and I honestly think that's the main thing for any creative is they'll always be, because when you're a creative, you also have to deal with that whole thing. If I'm also an adult in the world.
Oh yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah.
So there's the whole end of that, man. But on adulting in the world, man, you've ran around a lot of conventions. You're finally showing up at Brantford Comic Con, which is ran by, man, I mean, a lot of the people. There are a lot of people that I got a lot of love for that have been on the show, help run the show, this and that will be at that show. Just so y'all know, check it out. It's going to be a lot of people, right? Now, everything you've heard, we touched on a little bit before we got to commercial. What's the thing that you're looking forward to most? Because it's interesting, we're sitting here having this conversation. We've talked so many things, and all of those things in some capacity are going to be at the convention.
Yeah. Well, for me, my favorite thing about doing conventions are especially if it's in a place I've never been. So, like, I've probably driven through Brantford before, but I've never spent any time there. So it'd be nice to meet the people there. For me, these conventions are all about the people because the work I do is very solitary work. So the only social engagements I really have are when I'm working at a convention. So that's okay. I get to meet some cool people that way. It'll be good to see Scott and everybody. It'd be good to see, Scott and Eric. I think Peyton's going to be there. Who else? Ken Lashley's going to be there. Ken's a wonderful artist. Always great to see him. And Andrew Thomas is going to be there. I don't know much about the comic book men, but of course, I love. I think Brian O'Halloran's going to be there from Clerks.
Yeah.
He's a really cool guy.
Wait, you've never watched Comic Book Men? You didn't watch any of that?
I haven't had cable TV in so long, so I've heard about it, and I've drawn commissions of those guys at shows, and I had to research who they were because I just don't watch a lot of TV, man.
Look, the fact that you're like, I don't know the show, but I've had to draw them.
Yeah, oh, that's so true though. That's a thing that happens all the time, man. Oh yeah. And I like that. Sometimes I like getting that assignment. I've never, drawing a character I've never drawn before. It's that list is getting smaller all the time. But
what's the one that threw you off the most that made you be like, what is this?
Oh man, that's a good question. I don't know. I've had some pretty weird requests that are they're kind of personal to the person who's hiring them, so they're kind of like I don't lay any judgment on it, trying to think. I mean, there's one guy that comes around every year that gets celebrity portraits done on sketch covers. He always thinks of something cool for me to draw, and then usually he wants that celebrity who's there at the event to sign it. So this guy now has a pretty impressive gallery. He had me do, I think it was the Hulk versus Hulk Hogan, and it's like the Hulk has Hulk Hogan in a bear hug. And it's like a reminiscent shot of when Andre had Hulk Hogan in the bear hug in WrestleMania 3. And I did one where it was like Mike Tyson was there, and it was Tyson punching the head off of Superman. There was stuff like that. One guy, I had a weird Legion of Superheroes blank, and the kids in the hall were there. And so they had me do each of the kids of the hall portraits as some of their main characters. There's been some fun ones, man. Oh, the dog that's in Deadpool. All right.
All I know is you said kids in the hall, and all I thought is I'm squishing.
Oh yeah.
I'm squishing your head. It's like you made my brain just kick back real hard, man. Real hard.
I had to do one guy wanted the same guy. He wanted a portrait of the Trailer Park Boys, but he wanted something different, something kind of he wanted me to come up with something different. So I had a blank cover. I'm not sure what kind of comic it was. Can't remember what it was, what the title was, but it was blank. And I decided I was going to draw the three boys, but I wanted to frame them up on their own thing on the covers because there's three of them. So I actually had a whiskey glass, and I actually mixed up whiskey and paint, like a kind of a brown paint. And then I dipped the bottom of the glass into the paint, and then I made three drink marks, drinking glass marks on the page, and each one of them had to come with their own unique splatter that just from dropping the glass down, and it gave each one of them a frame. So I drew the Green Bastard, and I drew a couple different, I drew a Ricky and a Julian inside the frame, but I painted them with whiskey. So the actual painting was done with whiskey and paint. So when the guys the next morning got this thing brought to them to sign, they opened up the plastic, bag, the sleeve, and they were just hit with a wave of strong whiskey. And they were like, whoa, this is crazy. And the customer was like, yeah, he painted you guys in whiskey. So there's actually a great photo. I'll see if I can find it and send it to you. But there's a great photo of them holding the drawing. I never got to meet them, but it's them holding the drawing, and it's a drawing of them made in whiskey.
So there's a guy that's just been commissioning you to draw celebrities on comics, and he's had how many comics do you think he has by you at this point?
Just from me, probably. Yeah. I mean, almost 10, if not 10. I mean, I've been going to the Toronto Comic Con or the Fan Expo in Toronto since like 2014. So,
Oh, does he do this with more than one artist?
oh, I mean, he probably does, but he gets me to do the celebrity stuff for some reason. So he's got all kinds of, his collection is actually beautiful. He's got it nicely displayed, but he has a whole section that's just my stuff that I've done. It's all celebrity based stuff,
and then signed by the that's
yeah.
that is a really cool original.
Yeah,
like that's one of the coolest. Like, yeah.
Well, last summer he had me do. Last summer, like I said, the dog pool or whatever. I can't remember the dog's name. It's actually a lady dog, but she was there, and her handler was there, and they would actually do like a paw dip for the signature, right? So I did a painting of the Deadpool dog, and then signed by the dog's paw at the show. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, it's dope as hell.
That did not happen.
Yeah.
That did not.
Yeah, I can send. I'd probably find you a picture of it somewhere on my phone.
Oh my god, that's hilarious!
Fan Expo last year. That's when that happened. That's cool.
That is the funniest thing. Like you.
But I've met some cool celebrities over the years, there, man. Like I've had a great conversation with Bret the Hitman Hart, and I've had a conversation with Mick Foley, Jake Roberts. I've run into Arn Anderson. God, Ron Simmons. I met him at a bar briefly in Montreal. Yeah, man, I've met some cool ones. They've been pretty cool. Some of them are weird. Some of them aren't as cool. Terry Funk was awesome. Abdullah the Butcher was a dick. That's it. Like, that's that was my experience with those two guys. that was he was unnecessarily a dick to me. Whereas Terry Funk didn't have to give me 2 minutes of his time, but he did, and he was kind. And he was sitting there covered in blood and just, after his match, and I had no money. I was a poor student, and I stood in line for an hour to meet him, and I didn't have any money to buy any merch or anything. And I was just like, look, I stood in line just to shake hands. I never shook hands with a legend like you before. And he was just like, oh, I'm no legend, son. He goes, I'm just a foolish old man that doesn't know when to quit. And it was just, but his hands felt like were all taped up and covered in blood, and his hand felt like a sock full of broken glass, like it just was like this, he could feel the bones. I wasn't giving him like a tight handshake or anything, but his hands just felt like they were just like a sack full of rocks, just like crunchy.
Yeah, here, I'll give you want to know the complete opposite of that is shaking Paul White's hand. Yeah, because he came, dude, he came into a restaurant I work at, and he was real cool and like took a moment and like shook my hand. And I got a pretty big hand, but like here's where my fingers started to bend.
Oh yeah,
hand, like right here on his palm. Yeah. I just put him like, makes sense.
He's a big man.
Yeah, it's funny because those are completely, because I can see Terry Funk, especially after a match. God, I'm surprised you didn't get cut open. You got to be careful.
Some of those guys are cool, man. I remember I met Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette was the coolest because I had this old beat up Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine, yellow pages, like old from like the early 80s. And I showed up there just because I had a handful of stuff, and I was just like, hey, holy shit, Jim Cornette, this is crazy. Like, this is going way back. It was like probably 1999 when I met. No, actually, it would have been the night before WrestleMania 18 in Toronto. So it was a while ago. Probably 99. Yeah, that's probably about right. And
Wait, you said WrestleMania 19?
WrestleMania 18.
No, 18?
Yeah. Hogan and Rock.
That's, man, it's close. I don't know. I don't know what year it was when I was 19.
Okay.
I only know what WrestleMania they're on because it's my age.
Aren't they on like WrestleMania 40 or something now?
It should be 42.
42? Yeah, okay, that sounds right. Yeah.
And note that I don't watch wrestling anymore. I just always know because how old I am.
Yeah, it's for sure. Well, it's a yearly event, I never missed it, whether I was watching it regularly or not. I never missed Mania, but I have the last few years because I just don't. I just crossed the line with those guys. I'm just
Well,
you know,
and there's 2 nights, and it's just
it's it's monstrous.
yeah.
It's monstrous. But like Kevin Owens, I was watching his matches. I like watching Kevin Owens is great. There's a few guys that I keep an eye on for sure because I've been following them since the indie days or whatever.
Did you?
But,
So wait, did you watch Kevin Owens or Kevin Steen and El Generico back in the day? Like, I mean, you're in Canada, you've seen them come up, right?
A little bit, yeah, but I never saw them live. But I was aware of them, yeah, and I saw some. We'd very occasionally get like a trial run of whatever channel hosted Ring of Honor, and I'd get a little dose of Ring of Honor, like a week or two per year. I can't remember what streaming service or what it was that we were watching it on. Very brief time when I had cable. When I first moved to this apartment, we had cable for a couple of weeks because the previous tenant still had it hooked up or something. So I remember watching a little bit of wrestling in those days, but that was about it. But I read about them all the time. I go online and read about what's going on with wrestling all the time. I always wanted to find out what was going on with the Great Muta. He's my favorite in Japan. I used to always love to watch his career, and then he only retired a few years ago at AEW, which was actually gave him a fairly beautiful kind of send off in America at that one. But I was a humongous fan of that character. He's definitely on my Rushmore.
I'm trying to remember. Wasn't Jericho involved? Oh man, you got it because I'm thinking I remember seeing that, but I don't. Cause I ain't. It's one of those things like where you really step in and just there became to where there's so much wrestling. It's like there's no way you can keep up with it all. That's another thing. That's another thing it has in common with comics. And you know what? It's really funny. Like, I want you to think about this, Mike. I really want you to think about it and compare the growth of wrestling to the growth of comics. And look at how similar they are. And you could do this the same with hip hop and just the sheer, like, how there used to be less so people were more focused on it. And now there's such a variety that it's, what do you want to read? I don't even know at this point to some people, you know what I mean? Or watch or, because like if you told me like what wrestling organization do you want to watch? You ever watch what I can't remember the name of it. It was the one that I am forgetting the AEW the guy that was an announcer for AEW that wore the mask.
Oh, Excalibur or whatever.
Excalibur.
That guy?
Yeah. Did you ever watch the organization he ran?
No. I honestly, the first time I ever heard about him was when he was a commentator on that show. I never knew about his wrestling career at all. I didn't even know if he was a real wrestler, or if that was just a story they made up for his character.
No,
but
he ran a whole organization. It's where the Young Bucks really came up.
Oh, okay, right on.
I wish I could remember the name of it because there's so many people from AEW that came from there specifically.
I remember watching. I watched a little bit of that Chikara wrestling just because I thought it was so interesting. Everyone had almost like a lucha kind of insect costume on. They were kind of interesting. Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who ran Chicago. Look, man, it got to a point where there were so many wrestling organizations, you know what I mean? And I feel like it got like really spread out, and then a lot of people got ate up.
Yeah.
Like in a lot of different ways.
Well, you had mentioned that idea of what am I reading now in terms of wrestling? Like if it's a comic book, what am I reading now? And the truth is I've been reading a lot of older stuff. So when it comes to wrestling, I'm revisiting older stuff because for nostalgic reasons, yes, but also just because it was just different. It was just different, man.
Is it just because we're old, Mike?
Maybe a little bit, but I feel like there was more original storytelling and more I don't know how to I don't want to discredit the hard work that the young wrestlers today are putting in because there's incredible athleticism happening.
Yeah, man. Logan Paul absolutely surprised the crap out of me. I was like, dude, all right, never mind.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not a fan of his as a human being, but generally speaking, as a pro athlete, he stepped into that ring like he belonged there, and I don't know what else to say. Like I the proof is in the action, right? And he does good work in the ring. I mean, I don't like the man, but he does good work in the ring. So, and the kids like him, so I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I still think it was funny when you ever see that bit where Dom, Rey Mysterio's kid, was messing with him when they went to Japan.
Oh, I'm not sure. I think Dom is fantastic, though. I think
Logan Paul had a whole issue in Japan. You know that, right?
Something about he couldn't.
Yeah,
there was an issue with that. Yeah, I
look,
remember
if
that.
y'all want to know, he there's a whole story. I'm not getting into it. I don't bloody well care. But
Something
it's
he
just,
said offended the emperor or some shit. I don't even know.
no. Well, dude, he went into the suicide forest on camera, and it's called that for a reason. So you know what I mean. Let's not. But Dalton was messing with him about it when they went to Japan for the WWE. He was just poking fun about him. He's you could see he was kind of would you shut up? That's because it's not something they talk about. And I'm like, this is hilarious. I love Dom for that moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's I want to, I wish I could watch wrestling easily like I read comics. Because if you want to just be hey, you really like this person, this writer, this or that, it's easier to follow than it is in wrestling as far as mass form.
Yeah. Well, what I love about living nowadays, in this current age, is a lot of the stuff that I wished I could have watched, I simply could not get. We couldn't get it. So, a lot of matches in Japan, Dr. Death Steve Williams is one of my favorite wrestlers, and I would watch him when he toured in the USA. When he had brief stint in WWE, and then the Brawl for All fucked him up, and then, but prior to that, man, him and Terry Gordy, were the Miracle Violence combination. They were the most badass tag team, and they destroyed Japan. I'd love to. I read about their matches. So now that we can actually watch this shit, I can just look up on YouTube. We didn't have YouTube then, into that capacity. Where I can just call up, I want to see 1988 Paul Orndorff versus Dr. Death Steve Williams in UWF. I want to watch that, and then there it is. I can watch it, and it's just wow, I read about that match. I love that. I love that part of it. So that's where I watch my wrestling now. Is I'll throw on YouTube if I'm having my lunch or something, taking a break from the drawing table. I'll throw on YouTube, and I'll just the Road Warriors versus Ron Simmons and Butch Reed, 1989. Let's go. Boom. Beautiful.
I wonder what would happen if the Road Warriors at their prime just stepped into any tag team division now.
Well, this is what I mean, man. It's they were such pioneers, and for a while they were. I mean, to me, they kind of are the goats, but they had they had the AWA champ, they had the WCW championship, they had the WWF championship, they had won every belt in Japan. At that time they were probably the most decorated tag team, and the idea that a team would be that sought after, that they would jump from league to league and have that kind of instant success, just because it was undeniable. They just had it.
Let's play Mount Rushmore.
All right.
It's
complex. It's a complex question because there are many different ways.
No. But no, I want to hear. I'm going to complex it up a little bit more. Firstly, let's do it with tag teams.
Okay. So my 4 for that's a good question. Again, it kind of, with me, the Rushmore thing is almost shifts daily, because
Well, I'm asking you today, Mike.
So there's the personal, or there's the archival, right? So when you think about the real impact a wrestler had on the sport of wrestling, if you look, that Rushmore is different than my personal Rushmore. But in terms of tag teams, tag teams.
Let's say your personal though. I don't get if y'all want to know what the statistical blah 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 had the most impact. It's on Google. All right, I'm asking this man, the uncouth one, right? I want to know your opinion.
So my tag team Rushmore would be the Hart Foundation, the Road Warriors. Here's where it gets tricky again, because there were some good. Yeah, that's tough, man. That's tough. I mean, I love the Midnight Express, the Stan Lane, Bobby Eaton version of the Midnight Express. I love what they did. Are they on my Rushmore though? They're on there more than the Freebirds are, and I love the Freebirds. Man, that's a good question. So we got the Hearts, we got the Road Warriors.
Come on, man. You know you want to throw
Probably have to go
DX
with the
in there.
Miracle Violence combination, the Dr. Death and Terry Gordy. Although that's not really accurate either because I didn't get to watch a lot of their matches. I read about their matches. I was a big enough fan as a youth that I read about the play-by-plays of their matches, and I could see them in my head, but we didn't have access to that. So that's not probably an accurate way. I loved the tag team of Barry Windham and Arn Anderson when they were in the Horsemen, and they teamed them up together, and they were on a kind of a tour. They had all kinds of matches against Doom, and you know they were awesome. I love them as a combo. That's a tough question, dude. I mean, the easy answer would be Hearts, Hearts, Road Warriors, the Bulldogs again. Bulldogs and Demolition are kind of a tie for me. So it's a hard question. I find the Rushmore thing frustrating because it, like I said, it changes every day for me. Yeah.
How you not gonna put DX
Taking an L
on
on that one, man.
No, yeah, how you not gonna put DX on there, man? No respect to Triple H.
Yeah, I'm not a HBK or Triple H guy, man. I'm just not. I never was. I never was. The Steiners, again, I love the Steiners, but I kind of saw the Steiners from the start just do their thing. I have a really weird favorite tag team that people probably don't even remember. They were called J-Tex, and it was Terry Funk and the Great Muta. They were a tag team for a few matches in WCW in '89 against Flair and Sting, and I loved them as a combo. But they were just two huge singles athletes to my mind that were teamed up together.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah. All right. Whatever. Let's see how much of a convoluted answer you give for the next question. Right? Singles superstars.
Singles. All right.
All right.
This one's tough. This one will probably baffle some people. Randy Savage, the Great Muta, Jim Neidhart, because I worship the guy. I idolize him. Jim the Anvil Neidhart was like my hero. And then the number 4 spot, man, that's tough. It's going to be, I was such a huge fan for so long, I'm going to have to say Barry Windham. I just thought he was the greatest at the time. And I think he was, if he had the motivation to be whatever he wanted to be, he could have been the number 1 in every league. But I think he didn't want it that bad. I think that's really what it comes down to. I would have loved to have seen him. Loved to seen him face Bret Hart in a singles match. But again, it's a constantly changing dial with the Rushmore, because I would feel like Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, ought to be on that too, because to me he's the greatest uncrowned wrestler that ever was. Yeah, he had the AWA belt for a time before he became Mr. Perfect in that league. But there's a guy that should have been the champ, and he wasn't the champ. He should have been the champ. He should have been the champ. He should have been one of those guys who had the belt and no one could beat him. And I mean for years. He should have been like that Ric Flair kind of champ where no one could fucking beat him, because he was just that good. He was so damn good. Like,
I mean, yeah, he was just one of those guys that was
yeah, man,
excessively smooth, right? So
smooth.
I mean, I kind of want to ask one question, but I feel like that's rude, and we're not going to do that. So let's flip it to this way, right? So I'm curious, like modern Mount Rushmore, current active wrestlers, like guys who are at it right now.
Right now,
we'll start. I don't know. Well, what do you want to start with, singles or tag team?
Yeah, I'm pretty out of touch with today's wrestlers, but there's a few people that I think really stand out. Like I'm a huge Kevin Owens guy. I hope he comes back. I hope he can wrestle again. I was a very big Chris Jericho fan. I'm not anymore, but I was, and there was a time when Jericho might have been on my Rushmore. Trying to think current guys. I mean, I like Shinsuke Nakamura. I think he's fantastic. I don't think that he's been ever used properly on American TV, but I loved his stuff in Japan. I thought he was brilliant in Japan. I like Drew McIntyre. I think he deserves more than he gets, and I quite like him. I think he's pretty good. I don't know if he's Rushmore material. It's hard to pick, man. Because some of them I only see for a minute, and then I'm like, that guy's pretty good. Like I like that Jacob Fatu. That guy can go. I like that. He's all right. I like the Samoan werewolf Jacob Fatu. He's pretty.
No idea who that is.
Part of the bloodline, or was part of the bloodline. Or
Oh, I do that. Look, that like I kind of watched a bit of that, and the only thing that got me intrigued into it, I was like, okay, Owens and Sami Zayn to me. I take that back. El Generico moved to Mexico, and he's running an orphanage there. That's Sami Zayn. I don't know. That's what El Generico does. I'm sticking to that. Hey, that's the story that was given by Kevin Steen, and I believe it to be true. Okay, all right. But yeah, when they were running the whole Bloodline storyline, I kind of kept up with that. But oh my, dude, that story got I like that. What they ran that Bloodline story for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it was pretty long. I mean, again, I only had one pinky finger on the scene at that point. I wasn't really consuming the material too much. I had high hopes for AEW, but I just couldn't follow through with it. I couldn't get into it. I thought it was great when Jericho. I think that MJF is something else. And that's the thing. He's a guy that is so good. He escapes my notice how good he is. I always forget to add him to a list or things like that because I really do think he's probably the best in the business right now. I think he's the best talker for sure. And I think he gets under the fan's skin so well. And I think the other thing that he does is he's got that thing that Ric Flair had where he can switch it on and off. You can find yourself cheering for him in the middle of a match where he started out that match as a heel. Oh, you can find the thing that happens with that guy. And he maintains kayfabe. Like you try to talk to him in the airport and you're talking to MJF, and I love that. I love that shit.
And it's funny because obviously, the Undertaker recently, he's not walking around saying he's the Undertaker anymore because he's one of the last guys that maintain kayfabe, and he'll say he loves MJF for the same reason that you just, as far as he's like, no, that guy's always MJF. Like he doesn't turn that shit off. It doesn't matter where you see him, he's gonna be MJF, and that's gonna be entertaining. But did you see the moment where he did turn face for a moment in AEW?
Yeah,
dude, you can't. That guy, I think if that guy's not in Hollywood on a whole other level at the end of his tenure, whenever he wants to, I'll be kind of surprised.
Me too. I really do feel like he, I think he's kind of the best at it. Who's doing it right now. And I hope that, if there was a ranking system, like if I had any respect for WWE, I would say MJF needs to go there and become their champ and become their face, because it is a measure, right? It is a
look. I need your Mount Rushmore, Mike, because when you give it to me, we're gonna do something fun with it. Obviously, we're gonna say MJF is on it out of the current guys running, right?
Out of the current guys, I would say yeah.
Okay. So we need 3 more, and then I'm gonna have fun, Mike. It's gonna be fun, I promise.
Current guys, man, I don't know. Oh, you know what? Okay, Samoa Joe, MJF, Samoa Joe.
How have you not said Kevin? I want to say Steen. I watched him as Steen.
Yeah. Well, I said him first, though. I don't know.
Okay, so Steen, Owens, and Steen, Samoa Joe, and my brain just farted. MJF.
Yeah.
All right. One more. Steen, Joe, and MJF. Who else you got modern for your Mount Rushmore?
Man, I don't know. I don't know a lot of them so much anymore. Man, that's a good question. I don't know. Fuck. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank because I'm just not watching it anymore, man. I just don't really know. Ooh, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I
Okay,
can't give you
okay.
one.
Huh?
I can't give you one because I honestly, I'm just not that in touch with the modern guy. Oh, you know what? No, I'm sorry. Sheldon Benjamin, still active, super underrated wrestler. Sheldon
All
Benjamin.
right, all right, all right,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right, Mike, for some screwy reason, you can just make whatever films you want. Okay? Whatever comic book films you want. That's what you can do. Some reason that shit happened, right? I don't know how it happened, Mike, but you can just make them. But here's the thing, right? You have to, in some starring role, as a major part of the film, use MJF, Kevin Owens, Shelton Benjamin, and my memory is going here. It's been a day. What was
Samoa Joe.
Samoa Joe? Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Sorry, I love. Have you seen Twisted Metal?
No.
He played
No,
Sweet Tooth.
yeah. I don't know anything about that, man. About that stuff. I'm super old. I don't
All
know.
right, whatever. You ain't that old, man.
Video game or something. Twisted
It was
Metal. I
a
don't even
video
know what
game,
it
but then they made a TV show, and Samoa Joe played Sweet Tooth. But whatever.
is.
All right.
I heard
All right,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So a couple of these individuals already have acting credentials under them, right? Right. So what are you gonna do with these four individuals? What roles are you gonna give them, Mike? I know your knowledge runs real deep. You can do anything, anything.
Mm.
You have no limitation on properties. Just think about these four guys. What would fit them best as a film role? What would they just be like? Ooh, and they'd slaughter it.
Well, I mean MJF. I mean, you need to give him like a really charismatic villainous role. So I would say, man, I don't know. I don't know if he's got Doctor Doom in him. I don't know if he's probably too funny to be Doctor Doom.
And
But maybe the Beyonder, maybe someone like that. Like someone with a confidence of omnipotence. You know that kind of thing would work because I feel like that's the kind of attitude that he needs to bring to it. Or an arrogant god, like an arrogant god character of some kind. But I'm not sure who or where he'd fit. Man, I don't know. Samoa Joe would make a good. He'd make a good monster, I guess, wouldn't he? You know. Yeah. I don't know, dude. I don't know if I pick guys that make good translation into comic book characters. I think Shelton Benjamin is just such an impressive athlete. Like I don't know. You'd have to give him a role where that would, maybe I don't know. I mean, yeah, shit. I don't know how you dress those guys up to make them better than they are. Yeah, I
we
don't know.
need to just put superhero costumes on them, Mike. Come
Yeah,
on.
but I mean, who do they play? I don't know. Like Sheldon Benjamin, who does he play?
I
Does he
know,
play
no. You don't get to ask me that question. I'm asking you this question. All right. When we end up wrapping this season and we do a flip and everybody's asking me this question, then you can literally come on and I don't care, Mike. You can ask me the exact same question I'm asking you right now, and that's fine. But I'll have had way more time to formulate an answer. But then I'll completely forget my answer, and then you'll bust this question out, and I'll be like, shit, I figured this out. Oh, what was it? Oh, whatever. And then I'll have to make it up on the spot, right? I don't know. I don't know. Come on, man.
Sheldon Benjamin would play Trico Slatteris, the champion of the universe from Marvel Comics, because I think he'd be able to fill the. But then that's the one that MGF can play because you need the arrogance. You need that arrogance of that unbeatable champ who knows he's an unbeatable champ. So I feel like MGF might be. I think you got to combine all those guys and just make the champion of the universe. That's how I would do it. I don't know. Because I mean, Kevin Owens, I don't know, man. I don't know what he would be in wrestling, like or in comics. Who would he be? I really don't know. It's
Kevin-
too weird. It's too weird of a crossover to bridge. I can't bridge that one. I just can't bridge
Man,
that.
there's gotta wait. No, oh look, no, that's there's gotta be look, there are way too many comics out there. I didn't say you had to stick to Marvel and DC, man.
No, I know, but I just don't know what I would.
like I'm trying to, but you really but I'll give you said Kevin Steen. See, I say Kevin Owens, and everyone's gonna be like, who's Kevin Steen? Go Google it, man. He did some
Yeah,
things.
Kevin Owens.
Yeah, he did some things. Who would he play in the capacity of a comic book character?
I'm trying to think of the character's name. There was a guy in a Wolverine comic years ago that he might fit, but yeah, I don't know. Shelton Benjamin might make a good Zula from the Conan comics. He's got that kind of build, that kind of big warrior build, and exotic look to him.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Now you really got my brain spinning. Like I ask a question so hard that we're both having to ponder on it. This is some bull.
I always thought they should have cast Sid Vicious as Sabretooth. I always thought that would have been a good. The wrestler Sid Vicious as Sabretooth. I think that would have been.
What's the best wrestler casting as a comic book character?
The best wrestler casting as a comic book character. I don't know. I don't know.
You know what
moments, but I can't think of it. Oh, I guess Randy Savage. Randy Savage as Bone Crusher in Spider-Man probably would work.
Okay, I have to say that's on par with my favorite,
Bonesaw,
which is Kevin Nash as the Russian in the Punisher film.
He was great. Yeah.
Like just walking. Did you know that he apparently literally got stabbed?
Yep. I heard that story. Yep.
And just took it.
Yeah. Yeah. Tyler Mane, who played Sabretooth in the X-Men movies, he was a wrestler for a while. Wrestled under the name Big Sky with Kevin Nash, actually. Yeah. Kevin Nash also played Super Shredder, so that's kind of a cool thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always forget that one, man. I met him way back in Wizard World.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like 15 at the time, Mike. You know? So I'm a youngin'. And I'd sit down to get my picture with him, and I thought a bear put its hand on my shoulder.
Oh, yeah. I once ran right into Kevin Nash. I remember just thinking we were at the fan access event right before WrestleMania 18. And I was in line, like there was a lineup of wrestlers signing autographs. Booker T was there, a few other guys were there, and I was kind of there. And all of a sudden, everyone kind of turned their heads, and we're all looking over here because they heard a noise and they saw a crowd of commotion. And the NWO had just invaded WWE at that time, and Nash and Hall had walked in. And I remember looking at Scott Hall because he had the leather jacket. He's kind of walking by, and I was like, "Whoa, Scott Hall!" And I turned around to tell my friend that Scott Hall was here, and I turned and I went smack right into the chest of Kevin Nash, and I just was just like, "Whoa!" Like I remember taking a couple steps back, and because I'm all of 5'9", and there he is, almost 7 feet tall, right? So it was
dude, I'm 6'2", and like I said, I was 15. I was pretty fully grown. It felt like a bear paw, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
I literally like he set his arm. I was like, oh, it's just a hand.
I remember doing a wrestle. I had really good seats in the '90s for a live event with the Undertaker. The Undertaker was there, and I think it was Undertaker and like British Bulldog had a match or something like that. But I remember at the time feeling like the presence and the size of Undertaker was like the biggest thing I'd ever seen. Yokozuna was also on the card, and he was enormous, but in a different way. Like we actually had the heel corner where we were sitting. And so when he was standing in the corner waiting for the tag, like you couldn't see the ring because of the size of Yokozuna. Like he was just gigantic. It was like someone had left a couch on the corner of the ring. Like, it was wild. Like it was. I remember thinking that guy is so big. But yeah, the Undertaker, I remember him just walking by me and just being like, wow. And I saw him again in his later years. It was when JBL was champ, and Kurt Angle was still wrestling there, and so was Eddie, and Eddie was still with us, and Undertaker was on that card as well. And I remember thinking that it was pretty, like, just having him walk by you, it's just kind of surreal, you know. I've seen bigger men than him, but there was something about the presence of the Undertaker that made him a lot bigger in reality than he probably really was. But yeah.
That's yeah, man. That's the only reason what he did worked. I mean, think about how many people tried to work a gimmick or something like that or similar, and it didn't work. It worked because,
yeah.
like Mark was the Undertaker. That is like, and it's weird that everybody knows his name now. He does this whole podcast talking
Well,
about.
that's the funny thing, man, because I was a fan of Mark Callis, Mean Mark Callis, before he showed up as the Undertaker. When he was on the
You would
skyscraper
be.
tag team. Huh?
I said you would be.
Oh yeah. No, there was as a solo athlete, he had Paul Heyman as his manager for a while, but he also had Ox Baker, the legendary Ox Baker, as his manager for a while. And when he had Ox Baker as his manager, he was using the heart punch as his finisher. So he had this fist that he'd tape up, and he'd be fighting his opponent, and he would get the guy's arm kind of like hammer lock it behind the guy's head and hold him up and expose his whole chest. And then he would just haul off, and he would just drive this big ham bone fist into the guy's chest. And, you know, depending on who the wrestler was, they would sell it like they're having a heart attack from the punch. And it was an amazing gimmick. And it was, and then, you know, he'd murder a guy with the heart punch, and the guy'd be laying twitching on the ground, and then he'd go and he'd walk the ropes. He'd do the walking ropes, and he'd do a flying elbow, and that's how he would finish guys in those days. And I remember thinking, this guy is the shit. Like, this guy is a beast. He does that Barry Windham style flying lariat. He does all that top rope shit. He can walk the top rope. He wasn't even using the tombstone in those days. The choke slam hadn't been invented yet. He was just there, like, beating people up. And the heart punch was beautiful. What a beautiful finishing move. Unbelievable. Yeah,
That's
so good.
I've never seen him do that to anyone.
Oh, it's great. You got to look up Mean Mark Callis heart punch. It's good shit.
Yeah. I definitely.
You just kill jobbers every week, but I couldn't wait to see that heart punch kill some jobber on a Saturday. You know, it was the best.
You know, that's the other funny thing too. There are no jobbers in wrestling really.
No.
Not
Well, yeah,
like
they don't do enhance. I mean, it used to be all you'd get. I remember back in those days, the whole match would just be enhancement talent matches, and then the final match, you might get something kind of interesting. Like you might get like a Ricky Steam or a Tito Santana versus Rick Martel, like a real crazy main event match at the end of like a regular Saturday match. And then I remember when Raw started, when the first few weeks of Raw, there wasn't really any. They still had a little bit of enhancement talent there, but all the matches were starting to be more like those kinds of matches. Like we used to get a thing up here called Maple Leaf. What was it called? It was at Maple Leaf Gardens. It was called like WWF Challenge or something like that. It was on Saturday nights, and it was filmed in Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens. And they would always have, you know, enhancement matches, jobber matches, squash matches, whatever you want to call them. But then at the end, there'd always be a main event match, and it would be something cool, like a mid-card, up-and-coming Bret Hart versus, like, I don't know, Dino Bravo or something like that, another like known wrestler. And then you'd get this 20-minute main event at the end of this hour of wrestling or 2 hours of wrestling that was just squash matches. But you get this great match at the end, you know. And you know, the sad thing is, especially when I look back in those days, I didn't know it at the time because I was just a young fan. But those squash matches, those enhancement wrestlers in those days, some of those guys were really big stars. They were really big names on the independent circuit. They were really big names in all over the territories because they just got, you know, vacuumed up in the whole, like when the monster that was WWF came and swallowed up the territories. They swallowed up all the talent. So, you know, you'd see a guy every week, a guy like Terry Gibbs or, you know, Barry Horowitz, or you'd see Dusty Wolf. Some of these names that are just like jobber names, but those guys were like the kings of their own backyard. They're the kings of their own territory. Like, I mean, even Dusty Wolf was like a regular jobber every week. But like there was a time when he used to beat the Ultimate Warrior regularly before the Warrior became a star. Because Dusty Wolf was the veteran wrestler fighting a youngster named Dingo Warrior and beating him. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy how things change, right? But no, I do miss that stuff. And I have a real appreciation for a lot of those guys. Like, I mean, Paul Orndorff was a wonderful wrestler that I never understood it until I got a little older. I just thought, man, this guy is just so good. Everything he does in the ring is so good. His, character didn't always work for me. And I thought he was kind of a bit ahead of his time. He deserved to have more than he got, for sure. He deserved a world title run, for sure. Same as Kurt Hennig deserved a title run. But back then, I know I'm just going on to the rant here, but back then, a wrestler would be a champion for over a year, 2 years, 3 years.
And see,
It reached a point where titles changed hands so many times in the 90s and in the 2000s that to me they lost all meaning. They just the belts had no value. We still, to this day, I wish they would just have one champion, one world champion, world heavyweight champion, which could also be the WWE champion. But now you have to have both of those things. I don't understand why. It used to be that when Ric Flair was the champ or Harley Race was the champ, he could go from territory to territory all over the USA, and everyone knew that Harley Race was the champ. And their very best at home in their home league, their very best might get a chance to wrestle Harley one day. But that's what they were going. They have regional championships. They'd have state championships. But there was only one world champ. And I wish to this day that WWE, there's been times when they combined the two leagues and had the unified championship, and then they just erase that and they bring in another fucking belt again.
No, like, don't give them no ideas. They're gonna be like, oh, he wants one world champ. They're gonna be like, here's a world champion. Here's a champion for every single country on the planet. Here's a champion
tried to unite the belts before, and I don't know. I've always been like, yeah, no Raw champion, no SmackDown champion, just one world champion.
Yeah, and
you let the two shows compete for a chance to fight that one world champion who can be on either show. Because I think the draft and all that stuff is just, I think that ruins it for everybody. I personally just think it's trash. I just wish they had the two programs that had the same roster, the same athletes. Some were more featured on the blue team, some were more featured on the red, whatever. But there's only one champ. There's only one Intercontinental champ. Yeah, okay, we can have the U.S. champ because it's a one country. I used to like the North American title that we had here in Canada. We had the, Stampede had the North American Championship, that like Owen Hart had before he joined WWE years ago. And Bad News Brown had that, and all those guys had that. But yeah, I miss those kind of days when it was more simple. Now everyone's got a belt. Now there's 9,000 belts, and none of them mean anything.
Yeah. Look, I don't even know how many different titles like WWE has now, but I swear every time I turn on, like every once in a while, I'll watch some kind of pay-per-view, and I'm like, everything is a title match.
Like, I know.
Every single match. Yeah, every single match. Like, there's no matches that are completely based on just me and you have a problem, right? So, that's so funny, though, Mike. If you think about it, right? Look at what you just said and how champions used to be on book or have championships for years and years. People used to be on books for years and years. Titles change hands all the time. Books change hands all the time. Why are these similarities here, Mike?
I think because of attention span. I think people constantly, the reason they reboot comic titles is because they feel like the numbers begin to dip for whatever reason. The numbers begin to dip, and all of a sudden they go, okay, let's end it and start over again at issue 0. Start over again at issue 1. It's like when Comic Dodge that I did was a prequel to a series called Retcon. And the idea with Retcon is you had the same cast of characters that were rebooted after every arc into a whole different timeline, whole different story, but the same core story happens, the same core characters are there, but the scenario has changed. The roles have changed, but those characters are still in that book. And it was Matt's way of kind of sticking his what's the expression, like making a face at the comic companies that would constantly reboot. Why did we have to reboot Spider-Man? We had 700 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, and they decided to end it at 700 and start over again at 1. And how many volumes of Amazing Spider-Man have we had since they ended the first one? 6, 7? You know, it's bullshit. We had one legit if they had just stuck with that, they would be coming to a legit Spider-Man 1000. Same as they did with like Action Comics. Same thing. They were inches away from having a legit Action Comics 1000. And they started over in the New 52 at 0, at 1. You know, this happens all the time, and it's aggravating. So yeah, wrestling does the same thing because the fans are fickle, and I think they lose their attention span, and they got to shake it up. They have a big heel turn. They have a big, whatever, whatever's got to, kill a character off, bring them back as something else. That's just the nature of the beast, man.
Y'all, all I know is you made me think of the Boogeyman when you said that.
The Boogeyman.
Do you remember him?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, eating worms and warts off people's faces, and
I remember feeling so bad for Booker T when Booker T had to fight him at WrestleMania because Booker was King Booker in those days, and I love Booker T. I think Booker T is just amazing. Before I get sidetracked, he had to wrestle Boogeyman because they're bringing Boogeyman up, and Boogeyman shows up from behind right as the fireworks are still going off, and he scoops up Booker T from behind in that weird front power slam that he does, beat him, rolled him over 1, 2, 3. That was Booker T at WrestleMania, and I remember just feeling like that was such a ripoff. Maybe I always thought Boogeyman was fit as fuck. I thought he could have been something, but I don't know. I don't know.
They were trying to make another Undertaker, man, because they knew he was not long, and they've tried many a time to make another character like that, and they've never been successful. Like
the only one that would have gotten there, Bray Wyatt was the only one that could have got them there. Yeah, he was something special. But he's got that Wyndham lineage, right? He's from that Rotunda Wyndham family. Like, those guys are, dyed in the wool. It's in their blood, wrestling. Like, that's what they are.
Yeah, I feel like him and Brody. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, Brody Lee.
Brody Lee, yeah. I wanted to make sure I wasn't saying it wrong. Him and Brody Lee were the two guys that were coming, and they could have taken it to that
100%.
Yeah, that whole level. But you know what, Mike? You know what, Mike? You want to talk about getting sidetracked? Are you serious? We were supposed to be talking about this convention. It's coming up in Canada.
Brantford Comic Con, yeah.
Yeah. And there's going to be wrestling there, right? And I swear, at this point, Mike, based on this whole conversation, well, you got to go to that show, Mike, because I'm telling you, Steve McGinnis is taking a chop line, right?
Yeah.
And just for everyone out there, so is Mike.
No, I'm not. No, I won't be taking the chop line.
No, Mike, that's the rule. If you come on the questionnaire to promo the Brantford Comic Con, you have to take a chop line. So that means I'm really not showing up, right? I mean,
I got to start doing push-ups now then so I can withstand those chops. Get myself all built up and ready for those chops.
Oh. Wait, how many? Wait. Well, I mean, it couldn't be that bad. There couldn't be more than like 20 guys there. That's only 20 chops. That's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. That's
chops are nasty.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, you never know who are they gonna be cool about it? Yeah, huh?
Oh no, we just gotta give our cats medicine. That's all.
Don't break things, Mike. Yeah, but look, I'm gonna be for real. I gotta give myself food, Mike. But hey, look, I love that we just all we did was discuss wrestling this whole time, and I can sit and discuss wrestling for another hour. Mike, you wanna?
I should get going. Actually,
you're like, no. I told you what it was, and I don't know if I can see the timer, Mike. That's all I'm saying. But I've been loving this conversation, and we got really deep into wrestling. So keep in mind, for everyone out there, you can catch Mike at Brantford Comic Con. You can also check him out right down in the links below. Go to his website, buy some stuff. Mike make really, really, really cool stuff, right? He does.
And, use the discount code at my shop, CROM, CROM, and you'll get big savings off original art and comics.
I can put it in the description. You want it in the description?
Sure.
I'll put it in the description. So you even you can get a discount off some really, really dope art, because I promise you it's there. Or you can go bug Mike about it at Brantford Comic Con or wherever else you see him out and about. Because he'll be there, right? Because Mike travels too much, and I need to travel more. But we're gonna get to that bit a little bit later. Right? We're gonna get to right now is I ain't got no terrible end bit for you, Mike. You've been on the show so many times that I could probably just come up with something, but I don't want to, man. I got love for you. All I want all y'all to do out there is do 3 more things, right? 1, I don't know, go watch less short form content, but also follow the questionnaire on TikTok, because that's funny. 2, always get your Comic Con. Beyond that, have a good night, y'all.
Thanks so much for hopping on board and listening to the questionnaire. Keep listening out to these crazy guys.
The questionnaire.
I missed something.
Like and subscribe.
You're drunk. Go home.
Thanks for checking out the questionnaire.
Don't have a good day. Have a great day.